Imagine the world before there was a world, before calendars, before maps, before anyone thought to ask why. There is only breath and silence, and into that silence comes a voice saying, "Let there be light." That's how the story of Genesis begins, not as a textbook or a timeline, but as a doorway. The word Genesis itself means origin or beginning. From its very first line, the book announces its purpose, to tell how everything started, the universe, humanity, good and evil, purpose and promise. But Genesis isn't just interested in what began. It's obsessed with meaning, light and darkness, order and chaos, choice and consequence, blessing and brokenness. In sweeping, poetic strokes, Genesis describes a God who creates not out of necessity, but out of intention. The sun and stars are placed like lanterns in the sky. The land rises, the seas are named, life multiplies. And finally, humanity appears, not as an accident, but as a reflection. In the image of God, He created them. From the very start, Genesis insists human life matters. Traditionally, Genesis is attributed to Moses, the leader who would later guide the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt. Whether Moses wrote it directly, compiled ancient oral traditions, or served as the conduit through which these stories were preserved, Genesis clearly comes from a community shaped by memory. These stories were told around fires, passed from parents to children, repeated during exile and uncertainty. Genesis wasn't written by people living comfortably. It was carried by people asking, who are we? Why are we here? Is there hope when everything feels broken? That context matters, because Genesis isn't naive. It knows the world is fractured. After the beauty of creation comes the ache of choice. Adam and Eve reach for knowledge before they're ready. Cain's jealousy turns deadly. A flood wipes the slate clean, but not the human heart. Pride builds a tower toward heaven, and language itself splinters. Genesis is brutally honest. Creation is good, but humanity is complicated. Yet here's the quiet miracle. God never walks away. Instead, the story narrows its focus. From all the nations, God calls one wandering man, Abraham. Not a king, not a hero, just someone willing to listen. God makes him a promise that sounds impossible. Through you, all nations of the earth will be blessed. From Abraham comes Isaac. From Isaac, Jacob. From Jacob, 12 sons, deeply flawed, deeply human, whose family drama rivals any modern novel. Betrayal, favoritism, famine, forgiveness. And somehow, through all of it, the promise survives. On the surface, Genesis is about beginnings. But beneath that, it's about relationship. A God who wants to be known, humans who wrestle with freedom. A world where failure doesn't cancel purpose. Genesis teaches that history isn't random. It's directed, even when it's messy. It says that mistakes don't erase destiny. That exile isn't the end. That God works through people who doubt, lie, fear, and fall. Most of all, Genesis insists on this radical idea. Hope starts early. Genesis continues to inspire because it speaks to something universal. We all ask, where did I come from? Why does my life matter? Can something good come from my failures? Genesis answers not with formulas, but with stories. It tells us that creation is intentional, that humans are both glorious and broken, that faith often begins with a single step into the unknown, and that forgiveness, like Joseph forgiving the brothers who sold him into slavery, can rewrite the future. In the end, Genesis doesn't close with perfection. It closes with a family living in a foreign land, carrying a promise they haven't seen fulfilled yet. Which is exactly why it works. Because Genesis reminds us, every ending still contains a beginning. And every life, no matter how tangled, can be part of a much bigger story.